Hello, people of the internet. It is your boy Kishi Wishi, and today, come on, focus on me. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different. So I'm in front of the camera for once, you know, not doing the whole shitty CS:GO surfing. Today, I actually wanted to respond. This is a response video to a comment that I got, and you know, I normally don't do this type of stuff, but I'm just thinking, you know, I'm a smaller channel. So it makes more sense for me to reply to comments in a video format versus if I was a much bigger creator, this would probably be a waste of my time. But this really stood out to me since I am said smaller creator. I just want this to focus again. Thank you very much. So to start it off, no bullshit, we're just gonna go straight into what the comments said, you know, very calmly, very level-headed, because apparently these people think that I think a certain way because of what I said. Or not necessarily I think a certain way because of what I said, but I have a specific political ideology, which I'm gonna, like, my political leaning is all over the place. But before we get into that, let's just go straight into what this absolute mongoloid said. Let me not disrespect him, you know, mate, or them. Let me not disrespect them. But they said, Jesus Christ, dude, this is some concerning incel bullshit. Could have made this a lot shorter by just saying, I fundamentally don't understand the concept of toxic masculinity. That's actually gonna be the title of this video, or it's gonna be somewhere in the video, somewhere, probably the thumbnail of, I fundamentally don't understand the concept of toxic masculinity, with probably my face like this. But like, bro, shut the fuck up. The video that I made, sorry, I'll put my camera back over here, was called, Is Toxic Masculinity Just Men Acting Like Women? But let me continue the comment. You're not onto anything. You're not even capable of describing toxic masculinity properly. Yo, I'm making myself look like a retard by not being able to read this. This is anti-intellectualism at its finest, and you really should develop these opinions against actual academic discussions of the issues before sharing them publicly. What fucking academic issues is this nigga talking about? My video, I don't even remember everything that I said, but I know that the through line of the video is me basically saying men who act like emotionally unstable and insecure women are those types of men that are toxically masculine. It's toxic because if you're a masculine man but you're getting triggered as a woman, you're more dangerous than a woman getting triggered. Why? A man. Look at me. No, deadass, look at me. Someone of my stature, right? And my girlfriend's not home right now, she's at work, but no, I'm not a bum. I go to work tomorrow. But like, look at a person like me. Imagine if I had the temperament of my girlfriend, who is a 5'2" Latina. That's all you need to know. 5'2" Latina. Short man syndrome, Hispanic, angry. Just angry. But I love her. Why? Because that's full of passion. Now imagine me with her personality. I would be an absolute fucking terrible person to be around. Because yes, sometimes she does get upset and she will hit me, but like, I don't even count it as hitting me because once again, I'm literally like 5'11", 290 pounds. A 102 pound, 5'2" woman isn't gonna fucking hurt me. So her being petulant or like moody or aggressive, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because she's a woman. She can get away with being like that because realistically, physically, she can't do anything with it. How is that me not properly explaining what toxic masculinity is? If I, as a man, is gonna be aggressive towards other people because they said something that upset me, that is something that girls do. You wanna know what girls do when you do something that upset them? They talk shit behind your back. That's toxic femininity. Going behind people's backs and talking shit about them, that is a toxic feminine thing to do. And if you're a man that does those things too, like imagine that I'm a man that goes around people's backs talking shit about them and then I'm beating up niggas in front of other people. I'm just a fucking terrible human being. And then I obviously replied because, you know, one thing about me is if a comment actually triggers me into thinking, okay, did what I say is actually like kind of stupid, I responded. So I'm gonna show you what my response was, which honestly, probably not the most professional thing, but like, I have 665 subscribers at recording. I'm not gonna be the most professional person ever. And then I'm gonna go into what anti-intellectualism is, because that's what this video is gonna be about. Whatever, bro. Being insecure and emotionally unstable is what leads to toxic masculinity. Sorry, not sorry. And then I also followed up by saying, it's also crazy that you call me an incel, but I literally live with my loving girlfriend. You retards just throw words around on the internet so much that nothing y'all really say have any meaning. I stand 10 toes down on that. Why are you gonna, oh, you said something that reflects conservative values and traditional gender dynamics between men and women. You're a fucking incel. How does that make any sense? How am I? We're gonna go into anti-intellectualism, and I'm gonna show you how his comment on my video could be an example of him himself being an anti-intellectual. So over here, I'm gonna switch back to the live screen. All right, you see this right here. I literally, after he said that comment, I was like, anti-intellectualism, I've never heard of that, so I'm gonna look into it. So anti-intellectualism refers to a range of attitudes characterized by skepticism, mistrust, or criticism of intellect, intellectuals, and intellectualism. It is commonly expressed as questioning the value or relevance of intellectual pursuits, including education and philosophy, and the dismissal of art, literature, history, and science as impractical, politically motivated, and even contemptible human endeavors. Anti-intellectuals may present themselves and be perceived as champions of common folk, populists against political and academic elitism, and tend to see educated people as a status class that dominates political discourse and higher education while being detached from the concerns of ordinary people. My video was talking about, hey, if you are a man and a little kid says something that hurts your feelings and you decide to pull out a gun on him because you're mad, you're a bitch. How is that me being anti-intellectual? If anything, that's me being intellectual, because I'm thinking, I'm using my brain to make to come to a conclusion about something that I see in day-to-day life or hear from other eyewitness accounts. What do very effeminate men do? And I'm not saying effeminate as in like, oh, gay. Like, when I'm saying feminine, I'm not talking about gay. Liking dick and being feminine are two different things. You want to know how I can say that? My gay best friend that I keep constantly bringing up on this channel, nigga likes dudes more than he likes women. But that nigga, if you have a conversation with him, the only reason why you know he's gay is because he tells you and he'll bring it up. But his actions, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself is very fucking masculine. He's stoic as shit. The only time he'll actually get upset is if you're a friend of his and you're trying to get under his skin. But if you're a regular fucking person and you walk up to him on some bullshit, he'll look at you like you're fucking retarded. And I respect him for that. How do you manage to literally take dick up your ass and you're more masculine than these fucking niggas walking around toting their fucking guns in the hood and shit and like ready to fucking Swiss cheese you if you say something about their mama? Like, oh, you said something about my mama? It's like, nigga, I just said, I don't even know you. I don't know who your mother is. Calm the fuck. Even if I did, I don't fucking know you. Move the fuck on. But honestly, you know, take a little break. That one Chud streamer, Chud the Builder, whatever the fuck. Yeah, no, fuck that nigga. Actively going out to provoke people. Yeah, fuck you. No, that if you're actively provoking people or provoking these feminine members or men, like the gang members that I'm talking about, if you actively precipitate shit to happen, yeah, that's your fault. That's your fault. In that case, is like anybody would react like that because you're actively provoking them. But like, if it's just like a random thing or a random like, oh, someone's walking by you and they accidentally scuff your shoes, nigga, just move the fuck on. Like, I've had people who scuff my shoes by accident and they're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm just like, nigga, I don't care. Like, they're fucking shoes, they're meant to be worn. Yeah, so after we see what anti-intellectualism is, I was just like, let me go to Reddit. And I'm not gonna lie, Reddit is like a cesspool for intellectualism, because you'll always, no matter what, it's like any part of the internet that you will go to, whether or not they're a real person or a bot, you'll always have someone that wants to argue a differing opinion. Which, you know, going back, the nigga that commented on my video could be a bot or could just be a troll. I don't know, but you know, troll me. I'm acting out. I'm monkeying out. You know, what is the cause of anti-intellectualism? Why people are so much hostile towards intellectuals? What is the reason of that? Did intellectuals do something wrong? And I'm so happy that that's the question that they asked, because my video, or yeah, literally me making this video, is an act of intellectualism, in my opinion. I could be a complete fucking retard. I'm just talking out of my fucking ass, right? But I'm gonna say it. Me sitting down with these thoughts in my head and then trying to put it into a video to present it to a wider audience to see if they can engage with it and say, okay, what you're saying is making sense, or okay, you know what, maybe some of the things you're saying, but it's not completely that. Let's have a conversation. That's what intellectualism is. But then outrightly just seeing the content of what I said and you're immediately like mad, like, oh, why are you thinking like this? Like, that's stupid. You're politics this, politics that. And I know I keep mentioning politics, but they haven't mentioned the political part yet. But there was a second part. They actually replied. Initially, when I was gonna record this video, I was gonna just say like, oh, look at this anti-intellectual motherfucker. You know, they just say something and then they pretend like, oh, just because they're right, there's no need for me to respond. So good thing he did respond, but we're gonna go to the Reddit portion before we go back to the rest of his response. So on to the Reddit. Someone right here, John Oldcastle, if you're still alive or still kicking, you might have knocked this right out of the park. But I'm gonna read it for you guys, for my less literate people. I can talk to a bit of the specific history of anti-intellectualism in America. Of course, the underpinnings of American-style republicanism and democracy is the intellectual ideas of the Enlightenment, and certainly most of the American founders were Enlightenment intellectuals. However, the democratic impulse in the 18th century was essentially anti-aristocratic, which had strains of anti-intellectualism. In Europe, intellectuals were the elite, trained at fancy European universities, but most of the European population, however, were uneducated peasants. This is the part where I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna go out of my way to freaking take out my college degree, but I do have a college degree. So you could say I'm one of these European fancy elite trained intellectuals in the modern day, but like everybody knows college is basically a fucking cesspool of indoctrination of liberal values and demonizing of conservative values, which, you know, me stating that, you're gonna think, oh, this nigga got to be conservative, but like, no, I believe whatever makes sense in the context of what the conversation is. And for most of life, being more conservative makes a little bit more sense, because being liberal literally means to act like there's infinite resources. Like, no, we can't help every and anybody. We should just try to help those that we can help. And that's what being conservative is in my eyes. I could be wrong. Someone in the comments of this video is gonna try to fucking explain to me politics, and I don't give a fuck. Do I like Trump? No. Did I like Biden? No. I think both of them just have some fucking fingers in their butt from a nigga across the water. That's it. Anyways, in contrast, in America, there were few intellectuals, but most of the population was functionally literate to some extent. So an anti-intellectualism in America ironically has its root in the rejection of aristocracy, the expansion of democracy, and democratization of education in the early 19th century. Alexis de Tocqueville talks about this in Democracy in America, noting both the strength and potential problems of the elevation of the common man in civic life. Equality of conditions means the doctor and the laborer are the same regarding citizenship and access to public life. You're not better than me, Mr. Fancy Pants. This is good for expanding rights, fairness in civic life, and a more equitable society, but bad in fostering respect for and a desire for intellectualism and expertise. Basically, this is saying, hey, a person who's really smart and a person who's really stupid have the same exact rights, and because they have the same rights, the stupid person is going to disrespect the smart person, but technically the smarter person's above them in a sense, because they're more capable, let's say it that way. But like fundamentally as humans, they do have the same amount of value of human life. Just their contribution to society is gonna be different. Like, nigga, me shoveling shit on a farm for the farmer who's gonna do whatever the fuck with his harvest or his livestock is not gonna be that impactful compared to a doctor who's literally saving lives. Like, yes, my job in the entire ecosystem of the world does matter. Someone needs to shovel the shit on the farm, but the doctor is in a better position than me. In the middle 20th century, American historian Richard articulated this tension between an anti-intellectualism and the democratic impulse, and the great anti-intellectualism in American life, and the paranoid style of American politics. We can of course see all this play out in modern American civic arguments about science and education. So anti-intellectualism in the US has a long history and is rooted in anti-aristocratic impulses and distrust of elites from the 18th century. I do recommend reading Tocqueville's Democracy in America and Hofstede's, fucking hell, what is that nigga's name? Anti-intellectualism in American life. So what does any of that mean? Yeah, it's just saying anti-intellectualism is just the common person seeing a more educated person and having a distrust or not really caring. It's like, okay, you smart. Oh, you're so smart. And when you think about it in that context of that being anti-intellectualism, you realize people that have common sense nowadays are now the intellectuals. Like, yes, you can go to college, you can learn all these fucking concepts, you can learn theories and concept and all these different things. And, you know, I read this thing in an article that the human condition and this, like, yeah, you can be educated, but I feel like in the modern day, because of the access of information being so easily accessible to everyone, that the people that think they're so smart because of stuff that trusted source told them versus what they see in everyday life, they're gonna trust the source over what is seen in front of them. All I'm doing is doing both. Like, yes, I'm a smart nigga, I know the concepts, I know the theories, blah 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 blah, but then in the day-to-day interactions with people, it's completely different. And that's where I think anti-intellectualism is nowadays, where you have motherfuckers who are literally like the fucking, like, a blue collar worker is technically smarter than someone who spent 4 years in college, just because the blue collar worker knows, hey, man, woman, you either have penis, you either have vagina, sometimes you can't have both. That's it. A blue collar person who understands that concept and just accepts that's a fact of life is going to be infinitely more, you know, intelligent or intellectual than someone who's going to give you like a 45-minute fucking lecture on how gender's a spectrum, which, you know, whatever you feel internally in your brain, the human experience is a spectrum. But to simplify things across the board to make things easier for everyone, if you have penis, you're a man. If you don't have penis, you're a woman. Boom. And I'm not having this fucking discussion, because when it comes to these types of discussions now, the people that are really smart with all the information that they've learned from their trusted source, you get into circular arguments because they can always find evidence from what their trusted source told them. But a lot of the times when you have facts, the facts or like the very statistics in a vacuum don't really make sense, because, okay, this is a statistic. Why is that the statistic? And I feel like that's the part where intellectualism falls apart in the modern day, because yes, you can show me all the statistics and whatever the fuck from all of your research and findings, but can you critically think and tell me why the statistics are the way they are? No, you're fucking retarded. Despite being 13% of the population, black people commit 50% of the crime. That's like a very big statistic that fucking white supremacist niggas want to perpetuate. But if you actually look at the statistics and the areas, it's like, you know, yeah, they're a small population, they commit 50% of the crime. By the way, this is like me talking hypothetically. Yeah, they do that 50% of the crime, whatever. The statistic doesn't further, it's like omitting parts where it's like, okay, they commit 50% of the crimes, but how many of those actually go to court? A lot of those are like written off as like, okay, you know, they got arrested, but they didn't go to jail. They didn't get acquitted for the crime. And it's also like, okay, maybe black people are disproportionately committing more crimes because policing in their neighborhoods is higher. So you're more likely to catch black perpetrators versus white perpetrators. But nobody wants to talk about that because that requires critical thinking. It's just, oh, you know, black people are a small part of the population, but they commit most of the crimes. It's like, of course we do. The police are inside our areas. The white nigga can rob a store and the store owner will probably dap him up and say, oh, thank you. And that's that. But sorry for going off onto that little tangent. But there was a part where this part right here, they're talking about how intellectualism, the way how intellectualism manifested itself in the media. That's the word I was looking for. So thank you for this. I feel like there's a new chapter between then and now that has relied heavily on access to mass media. During the 80s, movies and TV became relentlessly anti-intellectual. Watch anything. And I believe that during the 80s, a lot of movies were just imagination. And I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to entertainment, being intellectual, you don't need to be intellectual all the fucking time in entertainment. In the modern day, I feel like a lot of stuff is trying to be intellectual, but let's just get into what this is, what this Reddit comment said. But yeah, 80s movies were relentlessly anti-intellectual. Then the 90s, children's media becomes intentionally pro-intellectual, but then reality TV exists. Enter personality by prescription, none of which are intellectual. And I believe that 90s is when like you had more so shows like Sid the Science Kid. I'm pretty sure I'm saying the wrong time. I'm pretty sure Sid the Science Kid might have been like around the 2000s, but like shows like Arthur, you know, like those shows that people used to watch during the 90s that made millennials almost infinitely smarter, or one of the smartest generations compared to Gen Z, could be attributed to children's media being pro-intellectual, more thought-provoking. But at the same time, as they were making the kids smarter, they were making the adults dumber with reality TV. And then, you know, the early 2000s, reality TV flourishes, critical thinking is replaced with math and science. That's the thing. That's where we're fucking up in the modern day. Critical thinking is being able to take information and apply it to your life. If all you can do is talk about information, oh, that's happening over there, that's happening there, this is that, this, that. You're fucking stupid. All you're doing is parroting shit that you've heard. You have to actually be able to word it in a way that makes sense to you so you can go and teach someone else. But if all you can do is just, oh, did you hear about this? Yeah. Did you hear that water is actually 80% not water? And it's like, yeah, I heard that. Oh, that's so cool. And then you just move. It's like, nigga, you're not gonna take a second to be like, okay, what the fuck are they talking about? Because maybe what I just said could be true, could be a new science discovery. But like, all we're doing is just talking about facts and evidence, but not talking why the facts and why the evidence is the way it is. And I don't give a fuck if anybody is like, oh, and look at this stupid black person trying to make everything all about, I don't fucking know. Furthermore, the present lines are blurred. Nothing is sacred. Being true to a brand is an acceptable substitute for fact. Pick a side essentially amounted to a business plan for about 5 years. Some people like math rock. Going off the rails here, one of our current problems is media presented as pro-intellectual. That is in fact incorrect. See, that is what I'm saying. In the 2020s now, we will have stuff that is, because they put so much money into the effects, into the actors, into the production, they will literally get a piece of shit, add CGI to it, put some lip gloss and some fucking rainbow flags, pass it to you, and you as the fucking consumer is going to eat that shit up because it makes you think that you're fucking smart, but you're not smart because all you're doing is consuming information, but you're not digesting it. You're not taking it apart. It's just going in and then you're shitting it out. It's not sticking. It's not giving you any nourishment mentally, physically, spiritually, nothing. And there was a comment that I saw right here where it says, my theory is, oh, sorry for not showing. My theory is this: an educated population is less likely to be indoctrinated and therefore less likely to control. Knowledge is power, and that scares people, especially the ones who currently hold power. And then reply, that and stupid people really don't like realizing they're stupid. Same person or different person, I'm stupid and I realize it. Same person, you're ahead of the curve, then most are too stupid to realize they are. Then they get upset at the discovery and it's illumination in an unavoidable manner, and then they corrected themselves. But yeah, like I know when I'm saying some stupid shit, but like if I'm saying something stupid but you can't prove me wrong in the same conversation, and I'm gonna go back to that nigga's comment or his reply to my comment, but like if we're talking about a topic and you get upset about something that like an implication in your head that you're implying that I am or what you think I am, and then you're arguing with that imaginary version of myself in your head and not actually talking about the topic at hand, you're fucking stupid. But there was another right here. This is the last thing I'm going to read off of Reddit, because I'm so sorry that Reddit is most of the stuff I read on here. But the educated are the indoctrinated. Every liberal went to college. College is what is used as in the indoctrination camp. Intellectuals are fake and gay. I've encountered one who wanted to challenge me earlier. He used a bunch of words he didn't understand in an attempt to confuse me when asking a supposed political question. When asked to reframe it in a more comprehensible way, he refused and decided to just ramble on, presenting zero challenge or opposition in any which way. When called out for it, he resorted to name calling and other such ad hominem tactics. Intellectuals are fake and gay. And I 100% can resonate with what he just said, because a lot of people that claim to be intellectual and will call you anti-intellectual deploy this tactic. But that tactic in and of itself is anti-intellectual. Hey, I'm smart. I believe I'm smart, but I'm too stupid to realize that I'm dumb. I believe what I believe, and what you're saying is not what I believe. So I'm going to argue with you and tell you why what I believe is correct. Okay, I'm going to present to you why what you believe may be incorrect. Now, can you rebut or refute my claims? Instead of refuting my claims, because my claims are different than yours and you're the good person, you're gonna put me in a bad light and start calling me names because I'm a bad person. I don't deserve respect if I'm a bad person. You're gonna disrespect me and call me names and then just leave the problem, which is what his response was. It's gonna be a whole section where I was gonna cover the whole idea of moral intellectualism, but then I decided not to because that would have dragged this video out a lot longer than it needed to be. Because as you can see, this video is already 30 minutes fucking long. But yeah, back to the video. Let's get into this. Right here. Implying those are female traits is an absolutely brain dead incel take. Not even a shred of statistical evidence implying that's the case. Why do I need statistical evidence? But okay. Also, could not care less whether you're literally involuntary celibate or not. If you don't care if I'm fucking a bitch or not, why bring it up? Because incel, the insult incel, involuntary celibate, means you are an angry man or angry woman, just an angry individual in general that can't get what you want out of the opposite gender. That is what an incel is. You're an angry person who wants something from the opposite gender that they're not giving to you. Just like how femcells, yes, they might be having sex, but they're not getting relationships. Females, women, most of the time, not saying all, because in 2026, not all women want to be in relationships, but the ones who do want to be in relationships but can only find hookups, they're considered femcells. Why? They want something from the opposite gender and they can't get it and they're angry. That is what being an involuntary celibate is. It's not a political ideology. Incel, looks maxers, same belief system. They're both nihilists. The only difference is a looks maxer is a nihilist but thinks, hey, if I improve my looks, at least get something out of it. I won't be the ugly version of myself anymore. And then incels are like, I'm ugly, there's nothing I can do about it. It's usually an incel. And a looks maxer is literally an incel who decides to be pretty. Shoot me if I'm wrong, nigga. Yeah, you're spouting the same mentally stunted political takes that make up the pillars of belief in that community. It's a sad attempt at analysis that is so deeply altered by your personal bias that it has no merit. I'd stop posting dumb shit like this on the internet. It's not doing what you think it's doing, little bro. First of all, why are you little broing me? Nigga, you have one singular subscriber and it might be your fake fucking account. Let's talk about that. Fuck you, nigga. Talking about, the takes. Like, I'm spouting the same mentally stunted political takes. What is political about that? What is political about gender dynamics? How is that political? Please explain to me. How is that political? Am I talking about, we should go and fight a war in the... No, I'm not talking about... And even then, like, war is that... Okay, war is political, but like, I'm not talking about any of that. I'm just talking about a man who is emotionally unstable and will willing to crash out and fight people, bring harm to other people physically because of his emotional state, is a bitch. Because a woman... Let's just end the argument here. If women had the strength of men, do you think society would be good? And I'm not saying that to be like, oh no, they should stay weak because no, I'm just thinking like women as a whole, Like, imagine the power that would, imagine how powerful that would be. Like, if every single woman on this planet was as strong, equally strong, if not stronger than men, but they were exactly the same way they are now, like emotional, you know, we give them a pass for being emotional, showing emotional outbursts. Do you think that would be a good society? No. And that's what we have with all. You want to know what a feminine man does when he acts out? He goes to fucking jail. That's why we have niggas in jail. 9 times out of 10, a nigga that goes to jail is feminine. And you can see that because why? When you go to jail, a lot of the niggas after a while, they're so quick to becoming gay. Like they've been raised by single mothers. Think about that. Being raised by a single mother and having absolutely no father or steady father figure in your life at no point whatsoever is going to result in you being one of those hood rat niggas. And if that is something that is controversial to say, fucking shoot me. But then this is the last thing I'm gonna say, because I responded to him with this, and I'm not gonna lie, I literally just typed this up as I was getting out of the car, because I literally got this new chair that is so comfy. So I'm gonna read it. It probably makes no sense, but after that I'm gonna end the video. But like I said, give me one sec. Once again, how is this political? Acting petty and gossiping, Acting petty and gossiping are character traits that is normalized in women, good or bad. But regardless, those traits are always seen bad in men, and rightly so. I don't understand where you see the content that I said and instead want me to provide evidence on what? How many women act out when they feel slighted? That's not something you can quantify statistically, because that is purely a reality of life. Anyone can witness. Whether or not it's a large number depends on your environment, and if the environment is going to be the general population, then my statement, it is normal for most men to witness women in their daily life acting out when things don't go their way, is true and does not need an exact statistic, because that would be as if asking what percentage of air is breathed in by humans on a daily basis. We all breathe air, but we don't need a statistic to state whether or not it's a real thing we do. And I think that is a very solid take. Yes, statistic, facts, evidence, those are needed for research and like talking about very specific issues that need that. But if I'm talking about a fact of life, human dynamics, communication or interrelations between people, statistics and evidence doesn't really make sense. Because like I can pull out statistics. Okay, what percentage relationship type has the most domestic violence? Female male, or male male? 2 women in a relationship together has a enormous gap in how much abuse goes on, versus 2 men being together, 2 gay men being together has the least amount of domestic violence. Same thing with divorce rate. 2 women being together, higher divorce rate than 2 men being together. And then men and women being together is like the Goldilocks zone to say. But like what I'm saying, there is statistic and evidence separate from what I'm talking about that implies the thoughts that I structured in that video, because toxic masculinity is why relationships fall apart. If you're a toxically masculine man and you treat your girl like shit and you don't respect her in any way whatsoever, it's gonna go to shit. And why do you treat only women mistreat other women? Let's say it like that. Only women mistreat women. If you're a man that mistreat women, guess what? You're a fucking woman. Thank you. Have a nice day. I love every single one of you who actually use your brain. And if you disagree with what I said in this video, tell me why. And don't bring up politics. I don't give a fuck about Trump. I don't give a fuck about Biden. Netanyahu is the true president of the United States. Let's be honest. He's the one pulling the strings. That's how I see it. Don't matter who's in power. Stop. It's so crazy to me. Like niggas on Instagram call me a nigger, and then people on YouTube call me a Trump supporter. Which one am I, nigga?